This is the Exit 52 podcast presented by Jimmy Seafood. Instant analysis after a domination by the Baltimore Ravens over the Buffalo Bills. 35-10 on Sunday Night Football, a game that lacked many of the nerves that we've had for the past 3 weeks of Ravens football. Here with Banks and then Jake Luke in what can only be described really as you playing the gimmick to perfection here, as on, darkness rises or continues or whatever. You literally cannot be seen from an undisclosed location on the Eastern Shore. How are we feeling, fellas?
I'll tell you what, Mike, fantastic day out there at Ocean's Calling. You talk about pigeons playing ping pong. You talk about Dave Matthews Band. You talk about counting crows. Fantastic stuff there. Let me tell you, these guys, amazing stuff. But, fantastic performance by our Baltimore Ravens tonight. And I was locked in, maybe a little too locked in, let's say that, on that first half. We get back here and, not a whole lot to sweat. Like you said, Taylor, the nerves, not firing too much. And that feels fantastic. Apologies for my audio to anyone listening that is concerned about that. But what the fuck am I going to do? What's Uncle Jakey going to do?
Sounds clear to us, Uncle Jakey. Sounds clear to us. Banks, how we doing down there?
There's just some crickets back there. I'm doing fantastic. I mean, we're back. We're right back on track. Like 2-2 at this juncture. When the schedule comes out, it's probably like one of the lesser ideal scenarios. But given where we were 2 weeks ago, barring a fourth quarter that was pretty shaky there in Dallas with some freakish stuff that happened, like we have asserted ourselves as exactly what I think we thought we were coming into the season. Not too dissimilar from what we were last season. Just running the ball straight down people's throats and playing physical on the defensive side of the ball. So tonight was just fun, man. Like there was the hiccup there, probably middle of third quarter, where Josh Allen just does the insane Josh Allen thing and they punch one in and it's like, oh shit. And then we go 3 and out and it's like, oh, here we go. And then they kind of punked themselves a little bit, but Kyle Van Noy just making a play like he's been doing for 3 weeks now, or really for the better part of his entire stint in Baltimore, and Travis Jones just kind of finishing him off. Like we just couldn't seem to get a clean shot in it on Josh Allen. Like we were definitely pressuring him, making him uncomfortable, getting our hands on him a little bit, but no clean shots. And then that one just sent a message, and I think it was a KO shot in more way than one. So offense, probably not coincidentally, just found their groove immediately after that, and it was curtains. It was awesome. So just a really, really fun night here in Baltimore.
Yeah, great way to describe it. Ravens come out, force a quick punt, and then, the roof came off M&T Bank Stadium. Derrick Henry, 87 yards to the house. Longest run from scrimmage in franchise history. Just really an incredible moment, and kind of like, he obviously has announced himself over the first few weeks. And despite, some obviously saying that he's been washed over the last few years, I know that's been a big narrative that many
that has. I was,
including RDT.
God damn it, I was all over that. I was way too early on that take. RDT, I'm so sorry. All the Ravens fans, myself included, that said Derrick Henry was washed. That was like the number one thing on my radar. When my team was going to the playoffs and, doing things of that nature, I was like, man, fucking Derrick Henry, super washed. So, yeah, no, that's egg on my face, right? That's crow that I'm going to eat. That's darkness there and never more for me, as Derrick Henry was, washed, and now he's not washed. So, yeah, he has risen, as they say.
Hashtag wash, says Eric.
Speaking of which, by the way,
Eric
in the comments there, how about you hop in the chat, Eric? You've got a link. How about you have like this fucking guy.
I'm sure his YouTube profile pictures from before he even started at Barstool.
That is a fresh face. That's a fresh face.
That's Billy Ripken. That is Billy Ripken Senior vibes right there from Lid School RDT.
Derrick Henry, runs obviously for the 87-yard touchdown, places on fire, and then the Ravens score touchdowns on their first 3 drives. And as you said, Banks, like that was just a fun night. There was not a lot of stress, as you said, the brief hiccup there, but other than that, that's about as stress-free of a win as you can get over a 3-0 team that's had a lot of success, obviously, over the past few years with a legit quarterback. And really, the only thing the defense gave up was kind of a Josh Allen play. Like, Josh Allen's going to do those things sometimes. It's like when great defense give up things against Lamar. Great players make great plays, and he made one other than that, they didn't have a ton of issues. People calling for Spenny in the comments after he picked the Bills, calling for him. We do not. Spenny has been on Twitter. We are not aware. We do not know his whereabouts. Let me check our group chat here. Still nothing from Spenny. We hope that he jumps on and defends himself, and defends his pick and takes some accountability here from the 4 strong. I mean, you said it right here. Where is he? We don't know. We are not sure. So when we find that out, we will try to get him onto the show. Hopefully, he's just walking back from the stadium and joins us here. But Banks, take us through your emotions on the Derrick Henry run and how much does he kind of change
First play from scrimmage.
Change the profile of this team.
Yeah,
scrimmage, dude.
That was one where like he just shot out of a cannon, and by the time he passed the line of scrimmage, I was just shouting, "Win the race!" I probably had time to shout it like 6 times because there like that much field.
You were like Kramer. You were like Kramer in the sports book. You were just like
except I had no time to get down. I had no time to get down about it. It was just go.
Yep.
He was gone. I mean,
I was the exact same way.
And you knew he was. You pretty much knew he was gone when you started to see some separation growing within the first 20 yards or so there, and nobody had any angles on him. It was just epic. It was just that kind of like first play, just like, oh, this feels like it's going to be our night kind of vibe, like a little bit Ray Rice in New England kind of feeling there.
Yeah.
Kind of nuts that like, yeah, it's the longest running play in Ravens history, but his personal 3rd longest in his career, like, oh, this is light work for him. This is just kind of what you get with the Derrick Henry experience. You just get these 80+ yard bombs. It's crazy.
And it's just shocking. It's just shocking to watch him just outrun everybody at that size. Like, obviously we watched him do that in Tennessee for so many years, but then you watch somebody do it for your own team live, and it's a little bit different.
It's crazy. Like there are certainly plays where he stopped in the backfield or he stopped before he can get the legs going, and that's the crux of my entire kickoff take from last week. Is like the kickoff. You're guaranteed to get him up and running and full speed. When he does, like you might be able to hit him, but you're probably going to get concussed. I mean, he knocked a guy out pretty much cold tonight, who just tried to go out his thighs and just got obliterated. But you give him a full head of steam, that's when he's unstoppable. And there have been enough plays the last 3 weeks really where he's gotten churning, and just it's terrifying to watch. And we've been on the wrong side of it, like you said, and it's just so fun to be on this side of it, but also have the Lamar in the mix too. He only ran 6 times tonight, but when he did, it was easy yards. I mean, we see that a lot, but really the only time he had a tough go on the run was when he fumbled, which is the only black eye on the entire night from him personally, I think. A near perfect night from the offense. Really not much to complain about defensively either. Just a couple hiccups, across the board. We got the John Harbaugh timeout fiasco. That was pretty awful. But other than that, like Zach Orr is really coming into his own, as the DC here, dialing up a lot of good pressures. Didn't feel like Josh Allen had many clean pockets. The Travis Jones is. He's your guy, right, Taylor? I feel like
that is my guy.
Early on him.
Love Travis Jones.
Shout out to Counting Crows, Mr. Jones.
Yes.
True.
I was listening to that. I was like, oh man, I hope Travis Jones has a good night. That would be amazing. And then
that's the first thing that went through your mind.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, man.
The speed on some of these guys that are in the interior line, like Madubuike, on the play that Josh Allen makes the insane play on. The reason it's so insane is Madubuike closed in on him from the right hash. Like he chased him down, and a guy that size also should not be able to create that kind of pressure. Like Allen should be able to just kind of ditch him and leave him behind and still have his feet in time to throw. And I know it wasn't the result, but just generally speaking, those guys give nobody any time to breathe back there. But yeah. Just an awesome night. I can't say enough good things about the night. It's so fun.
Jake, what were your thoughts on the defensive performance? I think, Banks, you summed it up very well. There was not like a ton to be unhappy with. overall. I mean, other than we talked about that Josh Allen play a couple times, they really did a great job shutting down the Bills' offense. Jake, take us through your thoughts on that side of the football.
It's a bit of a narrative flipper, right? Like you think that you go back to last week, and obviously everyone was making a big deal about blown fourth quarter leads, this, that, and the other. And like I get where the concern was coming from. I think I had some of that myself. And obviously, like Banks, you mentioned the Josh Allen play where he flips it to Shakir, whoever it was, it gets them all the way down, and all of a sudden it's 21-10, whatever the score is. And I'm trying to follow the game to whatever extent I can. I had the cock open. I was following it on the.
Oh yeah.
I was out on the boards, out by the music and following it on the cock and being totally antisocial. My friends were on the Ferris wheel, and I was like, I can't risk it. I can't risk the service. So I stayed down. I did not go on the Ferris wheel. That's a admission by me.
I mean, talk about what a guy will do for the show. Making sure he can come on and give measured analysis. Not going on the Ferris wheel.
It was about you guys. I needed to make sure my takes were solid. But I was just like, when that happened, I was like, that sucks. But also, it's only 21-10, right? Like, just lock in, just like calm down. Let's keep the focus. Like, that was my thought process throughout the game, and I hope that was what it was for them. And it seemed like it was. They were just like, we've been here before. Like these guys, have been here. They've been in this situation where, you get a quick lead and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, it might be a little bit tough to, to hold this thing. And I don't know, it just seemed like it was a little calmer tonight. It seemed a little bit less frantic. It seemed a little bit less like fly by night. And, in this situation, they really locked it down. So credit to the defense. I think credit to Zach Orr and credit to guys for the communication seemed to be a little bit better. I mean, overall, it was just much cleaner. Like, you're not dealing with the Travis Kelce or whatever, like the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy, that kind of play where it just busts wide open against them. They really did not have many of those tonight. So, credit to them overall. I think the defense really locked it down, and that is the key tonight. Everyone's going to talk about Henry, rightfully so. Everyone's going to talk about Lamar, who had a great night, but the defense in particular, that's the story to me.
Yeah, I mean, the word that came to mind for me is clinical. Like, it was just clean and clinical throughout the night on that side of the ball. And they did a great job containing, obviously, a guy that can do a lot of different things in Josh Allen, and kept everything in front of them other than the one spectacular play. I have to, give this up to the comment section. We were going to get there. I think we have to talk about Justice Hill. He is a hell of a 1-2 punch with Derrick Henry at this point. What are the numbers here receiving? 6 catches for 70 yards and a tutty. I mean, he's kind of the perfect change of pace for what Derrick Henry is. Banks, thoughts on what Justice Hill has become? It's kind of interesting in terms of him being a slow burn in this franchise. I think many people thought after the first few years was like, this guy could be a spare part. He kind of, kept his role on special teams and has kept himself involved, and is now kind of having a moment here. Obviously has played well last year, but he's been very, very good over the first.
Are you saying Justice Hill is having a moment?
I'm saying he's having a moment. I'm saying
has he won 2024?
I will not go that far yet. I will be interested to see where he is on the Mahomes Mountain, though, over the next couple of days.
I want to tune into that, yeah. Thanks, your thoughts.
Yeah. He's great, too. Like, he's – every time he gets the ball, especially in the passing game, it feels like he's already moving upfield before he even gets the ball and sees it in, which I guess you teach people not to do that. Hey, see the ball in and then make your move. But he just makes this the first guy miss. The one on the near sideline that he caught, that was like a 3rd and 6 where it looked like he was clearly going to get tackled for maybe a 3-yard gain, breaks the tackle, gets the first down. It was – I forget which drive that was on. It may have been the one where Lamar finished it with the run, but it was an important touchdown. And every time he gets the ball in his hands in the open field, he gets an extra 7 or 8. He's just been pretty invaluable and perfect yin to Derrick Henry's yang. And it's one of those, he's like a classic Raven in terms of him just having put in the time. And I remember him scoring a big touchdown against the Browns in like garbage time. And it was like, oh, that'll probably be the last time we really hear from Justice Hill. And no, he just kind of kept at it with special teams and everything, and to see him get his flowers and be a part of things now the way that he is, and get the contract a couple weeks ago, like, so deserved. And honestly, that contract is starting to look like a steal at this point.
Ran for 271 yards on 34 carries. Obviously, Justice didn't account for many of those, but he gives you that extra dimension in the passing game out of the backfield. And they did not utilize the wide receivers much tonight. 1 catch for Rashad Bateman, 1 catch for Zay Flowers, 2 catches for Nelson Aguilar. It was all about the guys in the backfield tonight.
Bateman drawing the hold in the end zone, I think that was really nice. Like, obviously, like, it's not a huge wide receiver skill, but to be able to sell that, other teams do that way more than the Ravens do. So it was nice to see.
Yeah, it wasn't awesome to see Mark Andrews drop one where he's wide open with room to run. That wasn't like that was.
Bro, that was the moment where I was like, okay. I was like, fuck, Mark, are we really doing this tonight? But no.
On a night with mostly highs, that was one of the few low lights.
That way, and it was like right in that critical section where you're like, oh my god, is this going to be the situation where they blow it? And like, obviously they did not. So it just seems like they're going to keep working Mark along, and I don't know. He had some good blocks too. I think he had the key block on the Henry touchdown, the 87-yarder. So it's just one of those things. Just got to keep working him back in, I guess.
Ravens outgained the Bills 427 to 236. Still had 8 penalties for 78 yards. It's funny you said the word clean, and it obviously feels cleaner when you have those penalties in a game where you win very comfortably. I think there's still some work to do there to play a little bit cleaner. Just didn't feel like those penalties impacted the game as much. So. Still some things to get over, but it's just so funny sitting in the stadium as, the Bills score and then get the ball back and started to drive a little bit before they turned it over. God, the tension just built so quickly. What
the
fan base has been through. But,
so this is an interesting situation because it's usually Banks, me, and Spenny that are there. Taylor, you were there tonight.
Yes.
How was the atmosphere? Let's give me a rating.
I thought it was good. It's tough for me because I don't go to a million games. So in terms of like rating them, relative to previous atmospheres, that's a little harder for me just because I'm not going week to week and you guys are going more week to week. I know for everyone that waits till the end of the pod to hear my broadcast takes, I'm sure most people come on.
We're going to get there. Don't worry about that.
I'm not going to get it from me. It was good. B+. I thought it was very good.
Why the hesitation?
Because the crowd almost got so it was so comfortable so early on that I think when a crowd like really can peak, it's when there's like a ton of tension in a late game situation or a game is back and forth. But when you're up so quickly, like the crowd the Derrick Henry touchdown was an amazing like rise to the occasion crowd moment, and then it's like. It kind of died for the next defensive series because you've kind of popped off that much. I'd be interested to hear what people in the comments have to say about it. I thought it was good. I didn't think I thought the pregame was going to be louder. And like I said, maybe that's me not being to games and assuming that in a primetime game, people are going to like.
Was there a legend of the game or anything like that going on?
It was Mark Ingram. Who got the crowd going, came out. Steve Smith did an entire bit where he was with the band the entire time. That was fine. Like, good for Steve Smith for doing that.
I love both those guys.
Both those guys are awesome. Yeah. They honored – it was an interesting assortment of, like, people they honored. They honored Bub Carrington, who plays for the Wizards, who is a Baltimore native. They honored 2 Maryland Olympians, Angel Reese, and then Seth Rollins from the WWE.
Fuck yeah. I love that.
A bizarre assortment of people that got put on the board before the game. Wild. I guess they did the Olympians.
And they're all roped off in the same area too, where it's like, what is this combination of people?
And now also correct me if I'm wrong, and if I'm speaking out of pocket, you can obviously pocket me, but like, was this the Taylor Smythe swan song for living in the Baltimore area?
This will be that was my last game as a resident of the city. So emotional.
Fucking right. I mean, what a game to close you out on.
Yeah, hell of a game.
They honored you well. They looked up in the stands. They looked up into that 500 section. They were like, that guy, we're playing for him tonight, and they made it happen. So that's great.
I don't know why I didn't get put on the board. I kept waiting sort of for my like curtain call. Even, obviously people leave towards the end, but you just expect to be able to give kind of a wave and do that. But look,
and we have some
totally understand a lot of things going on.
There's some professional courtesy with some people that, work in the social media department for the team that I would think that would, get you taken care of, but maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe I'll return as a legend of the game next time. And
honest to Christ, you might be better than some of the ones that they're pulling out. Not to disparage anyone, of course, but
the weird one they did, and now his name is literally escaping me, which is apologies to him. When they did the throw for dough, the Maryland Athletic throw for dough, they had Adelius Thomas with one of the contestants, and then they called. I think I texted his name, but I literally can't remember now. It was like Ravens legend, like a guy that played corner for like 3 years I'd never heard of since he finished playing. Like, you just can't call everybody a Ravens legend. Like, you bring guys back, that's fine. Ravens, former
your
Ravens.
Attention, please.
Yeah, it's like we don't need to do the entire thing where everyone has like been a legend for the team. It's just not how. Ed Reed was on the game pregame. I was on the field pregame. They showed him. It was a really good atmosphere. They gave the wristbands out that light up like you're at a Taylor Swift concert. That looked good. I don't know if they utilized it as well as they could have, but it looked good. They did the Metallica thing really early.
So I heard.
Which I know Banks could hear from the broadcast and was getting upset. So
Spenny was not happy either. Right? He was immediately firing at the group text about that.
So no, I mean, like we've said on this, like the in-game atmosphere is good. They do a very good job. Like everything looks good. Watching the Bills fans leave early was awesome. That was probably the best. Yeah. That was probably the best.
Bills fans had a lot to say this week, and they've had a lot to say over the past couple of weeks, and well that they should. They've got a fantastic team. They've got a fantastic quarterback who I love, who has a girlfriend that I love, Haley Steinfeld. I mean, listen.
Yes.
Fantastic. I mean, good for you, Josh Allen. You're the man, but not this week. That's all I have to say. Let's pipe down a little bit, Bills fans. And I was around it, listen, not to call out my college friends, a couple Commanders fans in there, oh, Jaden Daniels next Lamar Jackson. Well, we'll talk in a couple weeks, when they come to town.
I cannot wait for the Commanders week. Let me tell you.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
No fan base that is taking more of a victory lap right now than the Commanders. And can I say, good for them. I mean, vibes could not be higher.
That's what I was saying to them. And like, don't say good for you. Don't do that. I'm like, well, you guys know what I'm saying. You know what it's all about. And they try to act like they don't, but they know. But we'll talk in a couple of weeks. Ravens can't hold a fourth quarter lead. So.
Do we have anything else?
Other than tonight and the other?
Do we have anything else to say about this game? This is what as we talked about, I feel like when the Ravens lose, these go for an hour, and when they win, we just don't have to go for as long. And this is one.
Well, they won in convincing fashion, so I mean, we need to touch on that. I mean, like honestly, like the whole idea of like, oh my God, they can't hold a fourth quarter lead. I know NBC and Mark Barrow or whoever it is, running. Who's your guy, Taylor, that's running NBC right now? NBC Sports.
His name is escaping me.
Lance Barrow. That's
Mark Lazarus. Or is that all of NBC Universal?
It might be Laz. Yeah, you might be right about that. But like these guys, they got the package ready. Like you get into the fourth quarter, it's like, oh my God, the Ravens. They got the package just ready to go. Fourth quarter leads, this, that, and the other. Not today.
This your broadcast? You're giving broadcast takes?
I can give some broadcast takes.
Yeah.
So like
Banks,
I was.
Oh, go ahead. Jake broadcast takes, then Banks can give his broadcast takes.
So yeah, I was on the cock for most of it, and then we walked back. Across the 50 bridge. So I was watching most of it on the cock, but then I caught most of the second half actually back here at the house and didn't see a lot of those graphics. So I thought the broadcast did fantastic, but it just felt like they were ready to just pop those graphics up, like fourth quarter leads, this, that, and the other. And they were not ready for it. They didn't pop it up. So that was good to see. I mean, and they, it kind of felt like they caught them with their pants down a little bit. They were like, oh, man, the Ravens didn't blow a fourth quarter lead. What are we going to do?
Banks?
I didn't have much. It was a little bit of a non-sequitur.
It was
a little bit of a non-sequitur. What was the comment?
Something about waiting for luggage till 4:30.
I was in the airport and Banks was waiting.
I don't know when that ever happened.
Well,
the
Yeti says you have PTSD. So
you have PTSD from that. Yeah, did you meet this guy?
I may have washed it out of my brain. I don't. It wasn't recent.
You're just not a man of the people. You don't remember your fans.
Yeah, I'm washed. Broadcast takes. I really have just like one takeaway as I was just watching the game. I was thinking about it. Like Chris Collinsworth gets slammed a lot by a lot of people, and he's got the hokey thing, and you can do impressions of him and stuff, but he provides a lot of like awesome insight, and he does it very, very quickly. Like it's honestly incredible sometimes. A play will happen and he will have exactly what happened. Like, oh, here Zay just does a sprint out and clears out this space, and likely he's able to come in, and he draws it up extremely quickly. And I think that's like that nobody really acknowledges or gives him the credit for it, because it gets totally like washed out by him just sucking off somebody for the same thing that he sucks them off for all the time, where it just gets exhausting. Like Lamar had the play at one point where it was like a 3-yard carry where he went a little bit right, and then he did a shuffle a little bit backwards and then plunged forward for 2 or 3 yards, and Collinsworth painted it like it was the greatest like play he'd ever seen. He's like, man, this is just incredible. Like he blew up about it, and it was like, well, it was kind of a cool play. Like Lamar like took something that was a -1 and made it a +2 or 3, and good vision, good shifty play. But like, it was by no means an eye-opening, earth-shattering play by and he does that perpetually so often that it just erases in people's minds like all the good analysis that he provides, which he does a ton of. But when you just stand back and just like take the good things for what they are and acknowledge them, it's like, wow, that guy's actually really awesome at what he does.
I love Collinsworth. I think he does a fantastic job. Like to your
Yeah.
point, the fact that it's like a get in, get out kind of business, right? Where like you've got producers in your ear saying you have to do this, you have this amount of time to break this down. Like he's got all his things queued up on the telestrator. He'll like draw things out, and it'll be in and out in 10 seconds. I think he does fantastic. So yeah, he's a little hokey and like all that kind of stuff, and some interesting stuff in his past where he's talking about tricking women and things of that nature. We don't need to discuss that too much, but I'm a big Uncle Chris guy. I liked him, and I liked him tonight, breaking down Derrick Henry and things of that nature. So.
Yeah, Collins was good. He sees the game like quickly, and as you guys said, he gets in and out with analysis quick. I just think it's like one of these things where when you're on this stage for so long, a lot of times you just get overexposed and people just start to focus on your faults more than the things you do well. I think he's like super solid.
I know you're a Tirico guy too.
I do like Tirico. The Olympics things helps. I think I like Tirico more 5 or 6 years ago than I do now. I think he's not as good. I don't know if he's at his peak anymore. I do think he's still a very good game caller. I think Buck and Aikman is the best of the primetime crews right now. I think they're tremendous.
I don't know that Tirico had an awesome night tonight either. Like the fumble into the end zone and the recovery on it, he seemed a little bit frazzled by. There was some confusion, and I don't put this on the broadcasters at all, about the Bills center got sent off to the concussion tent by the spotter, but there was a lot of confusion as to why he was coming in or not or whatever. And I don't know, that made for like a weird experience at the one point. And you know what, the timeout thing with Harbaugh, I'm totally pivoting here, but Marlon.
By the way, Jack Harbaugh opened John Harbaugh's presser. I'm seeing that on Twitter.
I saw that. I did see that. Yeah,
interesting.
That's incredible.
The whole timeout fiasco was started by Marlon. He makes a great play to break up a pass and celebrates and does the whole seatbelt strap-on thing, and then jogs and then does not like start to come up limping. He just decides to sit down and raise his hand like he's injured. Like it was very similar to like college defense getting gashed, and I'm just going to sit down and try to manufacture a timeout. It was weird.
I totally missed the double timeout thing. I don't like. I was watching the game, I'm sure, but like I don't know, like as far as the specifics of it, like the double timeout thing. I'm seeing a lot of that on X, and I was like, huh, I didn't.
Yeah,
really,
I mean, it was a foolish play call by Harbaugh, and he knew it immediately. He called it, and the guy whistled it, and he was like, oh fuck. That's one of those things where he may have somebody in his ear saying, oh, fuck, we're out of position, call timeout, comment, and he just reacts. and then he looks like the idiot, but he still has to know the situation and not pull the trigger. He's got the finger on the timeout trigger. He needs to not pull the trigger. But all of it was started by the most bizarre thing by Marlon, where he seemed to be trying to fake an injury for some godforsaken reason. And it cost us a timeout when the Bills were trying to call their own timeout. So that burned us a timeout, and then it put us in position to do the double timeout. So, like, I don't know. It's just really weird, especially just given that Marlon had made the play was over, he celebrated, he showed no signs of injury, and then he did it. So, I don't know, man. Just more weird Marlon stuff. That guy's just not normal.
Yeah, involved in the penalty on the fumble as well. So, interesting night for him. He also
had a good game otherwise.
He also was good in coverage.
Yeah,
he was very good in coverage. I mean,
Stevens was awesome again. I mean,
Stevens was great. Yeah,
Allen hit a couple
other than
awesome
stuff
throws,
underneath.
But
yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, other than some stuff underneath and the one broken play, falling towards the sideline.
Keon Coleman got him once or twice, but like that was one of those things. It was the same thing with Devontae Adams that I was talking about, where he was step for step with him, and the guy just made a play, and like you cannot do anything about that.
And Josh Allen,
NFL.
Yeah, and Josh Allen throws a good ball that only his receiver can go. Keon Coleman's a huge receiver. He goes and kind of boxes out.
Every team is watching that on tape and knowing that if need be, if I can trust myself to make that back shoulder sideline throw, that is there for me against Stevens. And that's just a choice in the way that Stevens plays. And I, for the most part, will accept that. Like, that's a trade-off that we are offering to the other team. We're challenging you to make that throw. And goddamn Gardner Minshew could make it time and time again, but that's because the guy he was throwing it to is the best to ever do maybe that exact route. Maybe the best ever.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, like, as you said, if they make that throw, you just tip your cap. Like, it is what it is. The receiver's got to make a great adjustment pretty much every time to make that catch. Like, it's just not an easy play to make, and Josh Allen's a guy that can make that play, and we'll see. They've put a lot in the Keon Coleman basket. You watch that Bills team, and you're like, they miss Stephon Diggs. They just miss a receiver that can do a variety of things. They're just not as dangerous without that element. And I just feel like they're going to have to go find a receiver in the offseason, whether for free agency or a trade. And guess what? Stephon Diggs is a free agent, so maybe they can go trade for him.
They should, honestly. Yeah, sign him.
Ravens next week at the Cincinnati Bengals, 1:00. Interesting kind of little section of the schedule here. At Bengals, obviously, which is a game that we've looked at for a while, but then Jake's Commanders come to town
of course.
The following week. And then the at Tampa Bay on a Monday night.
Are you going to be at that game?
I will not be there. I will not be there.
You got to make that happen. You got to get down there. Come on.
Against my better half's Bucks. A true couple rivalry there, which will be heated between the Ravens and the Bucks, as it always is.
I believe it. Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
So, fellas, a lovely night for the Baltimore Ravens, 35-10 over the Buffalo Bills. Make sure to like and subscribe to the pod at Exit 52. You can follow the podcast at Exit 52 Podcast on all your social media platforms. At Barstool Banks, at Taylor Smythe 10, at Jake Luke, LOUQUE, at Ravens 4 Dummies, the number 4 between the Ravens and Dummies. And the guy that was going around saying that Derrick Henry is washed, I left him for last. At EDITTI22, if you want to follow Mr. RET, who was in the comment section earlier. A big week coming up here for the pod. Obviously, the instant analysis tonight. RDT jumped on earlier, if you didn't see that, to talk through the Orioles' final series of the year and then do a quick preview for Orioles Royals, which is like one of the hardest combination of team names to say of all time, which begins at Camden Yards on Tuesday. Some of us will be out there. We'll have instant analysis, I'm sure, after those games. As we'll see if our fair Orioles can get themselves into the ALDS. I had some bad flashbacks to the 2014 ALCS when that Royals matchup came up. But
it's a different time. It's
very different time.
10 years later.
And that Royals bullpen is not like that Royals bullpen was in 2014. So make sure to follow along all for that. RDT and Jake, you have as well been helming a lot of that Orioles coverage, Spenny, over the year, and we'll ramp it up for the postseason as well. For all the people that came in and were looking to hold Spenny accountable for his pick, you can do that. Maybe, I don't know, Jake, they can like send you tweets to read them on the jumbo set. I don't know how you want to handle this.
I think we're probably, what I'll do for the jumbo set is I'll just curate a list of like all the best critiques of his I'll probably like mix some of my own in there. Like, hey man, like you should probably like chill out on this, that, and the other. Like I feel like that would be a good time to take him to task, 3 weeks in or whatever we are now, 4 weeks in. That'll be a good time to, hold him a little bit accountable, because somebody needs to knock him down a peg. Like no one's doing that, to the extent that it needs to be done. So
there you go.
That'll be this week.
So there you go. So send anything you want to Jake, and he will hold Spenny accountable for his sins picking against his own team.
Yeah, and I didn't get the chance to pick on this week's preview. I think I would have picked the Ravens, to be honest. I was leaning in that direction. So the fact that he picked against them when he fucking picked them to go 14-3 or whatever it was, Jesus fucking Christ! I picked him to go 10-7. He's picking them to go 14-3, and now he's picking them to lose this game. Come on, Spenny, what are we doing? We're asleep at the wheel.
Tough scene for Spenny. Hopefully he's made it home safe. I don't know if he's. Let's check if he's a final.
Somebody's got to text the franchise. I'm going to text the franchise and make sure that he is asleep.
Let's see if he's tweeting.
He's probably
hasn't tweeted in an hour.
He's going to be breaking it. You just check your X app at 3 a.m. He'll be tweeting out the film of Nate Wiggins, making some, tremendous breakup.
Funny is someone tweeted at him, "Are you all going live for post game reactions?" And Spenny said, "Yes, 37 minutes is my guess." An hour ago.
I think that was our guy, Uncle Clay Sowers. Big listener, good friend of ours, of Spenny's, and so
glad to. As long as that's all worked out amongst people to know.
Listen, I think so, but he's not here. So, listen, what are we going to do with this guy?
Thanks to everyone for Jake. Before we go, I'll give you 30 seconds on Ocean's Calling.
Please. Yeah, I mean, amazing. Like, we don't get a lot of these things as an area, as a state, as these people. We've had Moonrise and things of that nature. It's all good. We get Preakness, but that's been a little bit on a downturn, has it not? Come out. Support your local, enterprises, support your local festivals when they come around. And when you get to come out and you get to see great acts like Sublime, like Dave Matthews Band, like Counting Crows, like Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, a Baltimore product who was fantastic today. Amazing. I mean, there's nothing fucking better. Come down to the beach, get yourself a drink, see some live music. There's just nothing better. There's absolutely nothing better. Nothing better.
That's a perfect way to put it. And on the way out, Banks, shout out to the Wrecking Crew. Shout out to the Wrecking Crew. Shout out to the man, Chase, jumping in the chat at 12:20 on a Sunday night.
Break the disc.
The man himself. Wrecking Crew.
By the way, I mean, I'm talking to two Ocean City guys. I'm hoping Ocean's Calling 2025. Taylor Smythe and Uncle Brian Black will be making an appearance. I'd hope so. Listen, I don't want to pressure you guys. And Taylor, I know you will not be living in state at the time, but let's make it happen. What do we think?
We'll try our best. We'll see what the dates are. We'll see who the acts are, and then we'll make a decision. But a lovely weekend in Maryland. Baltimore Ravens win 35-10. Thanks everyone for watching the instant analysis. Appreciate the fans. As always, for jumping on the live stream late at night here. Stay tuned for the jumbo set this week. Stay tuned for all of our Orioles coverage this week. And we'll see you next time on the Exit 52 podcast presented by Jimmy Seafood.